Hi, John. I'll turn it over to you from this point.
Thanks, Paul, and welcome to the North Easthope Central Railway. I will now share my screen. Model railroading is sometimes compared to a play. The model part is the stage, staging yards are the offstage, and the trains are the actors. Today I'll present the North Easthope Central as if it was a play. In 1976 or 77, I read Alan McClellan's story of how he developed his Virginia and Ohio, a fictitious railroad set in a real place. I was so impressed that I decided that was the type of railroad I wanted to build. It runs from Buffalo to North Bay through the former North Easthope Township, west of New Hamburg, where we were living when I came up with this idea. All towns are named after North Easthope places and in the proper order. This is a view from the door looking toward downtown Shakespeare. The locomotives and passenger cars in the far corner sit where Union Station will be built. And the elevated track is the line heading north through the rest of Shakespeare and then on north to North Bay. I know this looks like my roundhouse was hit by an earthquake. Actually, it is two kits that I put together after they had been built. I just bought them and set them together, and I'm going to use the parts left over and some other pieces that I bought, and I'm going to build this back corner into a back shop. Arctic Cold Storage is scratch built from old election signs based on one that I used to deliver to in Toronto. It lifts off to uncover an opening to allow me to work on scenery against the wall or to do any track work back there. Last fall, I kit bashed this shop from pieces found in a box of building parts that I bought. It's detailed with a JL Innovations kit. I still need to add a few more details and add lights, and it will show up quite well from the fascia. This past year, I also built Pig Yard, which is a very small intermodal yard. The tracks right behind the trailers, the closest one heads west to St. Thomas, and the one behind it goes south to Buffalo. They both actually end up in the same south staging yard. And this is the other end of Shakespeare, the classification yard, a small yard to the left called 3rd Street Yard, which serves the local industries. And in the middle of the picture is the large cereal plant, which is one of the major customers on the railroad. And this was from a friend. It was a fire station. I'm making it into a truck shop, and once it's finished, it will get moved to some other place on the layout, and this will become another industrial area. First town north of Shakespeare is Amalree. Here, one branch goes to Burnside and one to Rotsburg. There is only a station, a house, and these two small businesses. The line to Rotsburg goes up a fairly steep grade, goes over this Hunter Line bridge, which we did at an NMRA clinic, and past the abandoned house. And this is looking at Rotsburg from the south end. Uniroyal Chemicals is in the back. Roxton Furniture at the fascia. You can just see a end of a boxcar spotted beside it. And there's a team track beside that yellow pickup. And the far end of the town has a scrapyard and Beaver Lumber. Beaver Lumber has a track in the front for unloading lumber and one in behind for stuff in a boxcar like drywall or plywood. Going north from Amalree, we come to Hampstead, which is the last model town on the layout. A branch to Godrich leaves from here, which is just behind the station. There's a green boxcar in the team track, and then beyond that, the line to Godrich. There are a couple of industries down at the far end of town, just around the curve, and a little bit of downtown. And this is our daily CP train leaving the south end of Hampstead, heading to Shakespeare. And this is an area that I scenicked during the past year. Then we have the actors, locomotives and trains. I'm showing one of each of the different classes of locomotives. Be coming up on the next shot. Started out with some old Atherns. There's the Switcher, the GP7s, and F7s. Once I switched to DCC, we found we don't run them much anymore. And we've gone to some more Alcos, C420s, and 424s are the main power. With the newer locomotives, I came up with a logo, which is the shape of North Easthope Township, and have put them on the front of the locomotives and also on some of our other rolling stock. Then we have supporting actors, which add to the realism. There's cabooses, freight cars, company vehicles, piggyback trailers, and other vehicles. This is representative of the caboose fleet. We got one transfer caboose for in Shakespeare, a few wooden cabooses that go on locals and maintenance away trains, and all the road freights use the steel cabooses that you see at the far right. And here's our maintenance away fleet. As you can see, we're a little partial to Fords. And there are 2 trailers now lettered for North Easthope Central. And vehicles all must be pre-1975. There are a few minor exceptions that most people maybe wouldn't notice, that most vehicles are in the 60s, early 70s, a few from the 50s, and most of them are just as they were bought. There's a few exceptions, and here's one of them. It's a Sylvain kit. We built them Sylvain kits at a NMRA meet. This is a white superpower from the late 50s, which a few were still running in the 70s. And I just had to have an herb truck since I drove there for 25 years. And a friend made the decals for me from a picture that I supplied to him. And the plot is the operations. And that is my main interest, moving freight, traffic between Buffalo and North Bay, traffic coming in from either end onto the model part. There's several other trains that come in, as you can see there. And we run a lot of local trains, serve a lot of industries. The north staging is underneath that Shakespeare yard, and it comes out at this tunnel portal. So here's the train heading south through the unfinished canyon. And past the biggest gap in the scenery. Now the area right there that is going through is the area I've been working on in the last couple of months. If you come to the AGM and see our what I've modeled during the pandemic, you'll see the stages of the build that I've done in the last month in that area. Now the train is approaching the north end of Hampstead, past a couple of industries there that sort of fill in buildings. That blue and gray locomotive is sitting at the service facilities for Hampstead. The track running back underneath the backdrop there is the line to Goderich. There's a team track with the boxcar sitting on it. There's a long passing siding right beside the train there in Hampstead and in the yard tracks. Once the train has gone under that bridge, it enters a helix of just under 2 turns, and it brings it up to a higher level that allowed me to get up to Rotsburg on the second level without such a steep branch line. The town of Burnside is just out of the picture on the top of the helix, and it's 3 tracks and a few industries up there. The train is now entering Amelie, passing siding there, and you'll see the branch line that goes up to Rotsburg, leaving right about there up on the left of the engines. Now the main line starts back down grade again, heading towards Shakespeare. Disappears there for a little while, then comes out through another tunnel portal, past the farm and Superior Propane. From about the engines there to the front of the screen will be a series of bridges over top of that valley. The second track there is the yard lead. There's a crossover right there, which would put the train onto a passing track. Off the passing track or off the yard lead, you can enter 2 arrival departure tracks. The CP cars there are on arrival departure number 1. And there's number 2, and then there's 5 stub end classification tracks. Any cars that are staying in Shakespeare, the yardmaster will take over to this 3rd Street yard, and occasionally a crew works out of there to service the industries. Union Station is just in behind underneath the elevated track. Here we come around the cold storage plant and around the roundhouse. There's the entrance to Pig Yard. And if the train would have gone straight through it, would go back into Union Station. And now it's heading south to Buffalo. And it disappears here, and it has to run all the way down to the far end of the room and down into the area under the peninsula where the South Staging Yard is located. So that is the end of the tour.